A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to say.
You got f***ing grow up, mother. Are you kidding me?
Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Hello and welcome aboard another episode of the Gallant Says podcast on this Friday. Got to get down on Friday, February 17th of 2023. It's available live wherever you stream things. If you do that, twitch.tv/Gallant Says, youtube.com/Paul Gallant. You can also get it wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Please subscribe, rate, and review if you haven't already. If you listened to my radio show earlier today, you heard me talk about Astros general manager Dana Brown, who is getting rave reviews for everything that he has done thus far as general manager of the Astros, specifically the very team-friendly deal that he signed Christian Javier to. There was an introductory press conference for said contract yesterday, and at it, you heard all sorts of rosy, sunshiny platitudes coming out of Dana Brown. So I threw out a question on Twitter, and I did not think that things would quite be as one-sided as they ended up being. But I did think that for the most part, there would be a consensus opinion. Do you trust Astros general manager Dana Brown? Keep in mind, Dana Brown, who steps in for James Click, who stepped in for Jeff Luhnow after Luhnow was fired, was hired officially less than a month ago, January 27th. And he was really qualified, and there's a lot of things to be excited about as far as general managers go, given the fact that he's worked with the Atlanta Braves for a long period of time. But some of you people are just slurping the words that are coming out of Dana Brown's mouth down like they are facts, like they tell the future. And it's surprising to me, not just from a sports perspective, but from a people perspective. Should you trust somebody who's telling you what you want to hear so quickly? And this isn't me suggesting that Dana Brown is a liar or anything like that. But when you put out a poll with a yes or no question, which I suppose in of itself is loaded, and you get an answer like 93% of people say yes when it comes to trusting the new general manager of the Astros. Check that. It's 91% to no. I'm wondering why you're so hook, line, and sinker in. I sort of feel the same way about some of you guys with D'Amico Ryans, who had a great press conference, much like the most recent edition of Dana Brown's press conference. It's a press conference, and with a coach like D'Amico Ryans, who's positive, you're going to hear things that get you excited for a team that has not been able to do anything on that front for years. And with Dana Brown, of course, you have a guy who's taking over and doesn't have the most difficult job. You just got to maintain what's currently going, but you don't know that he's going to be able to do it, and you don't know that whatever he does is ultimately going to keep this Astros championship window open. So my question to you today is, how long does it take you to trust someone? I think that from time to time, I'm a little bit too trusting. I'm honest. I'm way too open. That might be a byproduct of hosting a radio show. That might be a byproduct of hosting a Twitch stream, YouTube stream, podcast. But there have been times where I feel like I'm too open with people that are in the industry. There's a lot of gossip that goes around in all media. People like to talk shit about others. People think that others who maybe are more successful than them suck, or their coworkers suck, or don't agree with the direction of of a operation. And it's one of those things that I just wonder why some of you, given that you probably have trust issues in some way, shape, or form in your life, are so willing to just say, yeah, Dana Brown's the guy. It's puzzling to me. Asymmetric Risk on an Ask Gallant Anything Friday asks this at twitch.tv/Gallant says, has anyone spent $30 on Whataburger breakfast delivery before and only eat the hash brown sticks? How many fucking hash browns did you get? Let's see. How much do hash browns cost at Whataburger? That's the first question that you got to ask. Let's see what the answer to this is. Hash browns at Whataburger, $154. So did you get like 13 orders, if I'm doing my math correct, of hash brown sticks here, Asymmetric Risk? Jesus. It's a lot of potatoes. It's more potatoes than my Irish ass would eat. I don't really eat fries anymore. I've kind of gone on this path where bread, I keep it out of my house. Cookies, keep them out of my house. Sweets, keep them out of my house. And fried things, for the most part, keep them out of my house. My guilty pleasure in the middle of the night, I have these pot stickers that I got at Costco. It's like chicken and cilantro. They're very simple, but it's essentially a dumpling. Oh, my God, they're fantastic. Love them. Had a couple last night as I was doing show prep deep into the night, thinking long and hard as to why there are so many out there who are like all aboard trusting Dana Brown. Do you trust the government? And I think this does vary from person to person, too. There are some people out there, when the government says something, you will say in response, how high? You want to be a good citizen. You want to obey the laws. There are others who are like, why the fuck am I doing this? I tend to fall in the latter with some laws. I just want to know why from time to time. And I want to know, sorry, but I'm about to go on a bit of a political tangent here. I want to know what the United States Secretary of Transportation does. Because it hasn't been a good year for the person in that role, Pete Buttigieg. Buttigieg? I forget how to pronounce his name. And I'll be honest, when it comes to politics, there are times where I'll admit that I'm not as on top of it as I would like to be. Current events, the news. I wish I was a little bit better on that front. Maybe this offseason is going to provide some more opportunities for me. But it feels like with all the train crashes that have been taking place across the country, specifically the one in East Palestine, Texas, that I don't know, maybe the guy isn't doing a very good job, and let's just remove what side of the aisle you lean on, you are on. The things I know about Pete Buttigieg, I think I got it right that time. I probably didn't. Is that he's openly gay. Good for him. I don't care. And that he used to be the mayor of South Bend. That he ran for president. That he's now the Secretary of Transportation. And that he infamously took like a month off for paternity leave when you have a really important job in a country that has crumbling infrastructure, roads here in Houston, bridges in Seattle, where I was before. There's only so much power you have. You can't be in charge of everything. You can't be Lydia in Breaking Bad with all of her work that she does, if you've ever watched that show, and making shipments happen. It's difficult. So I'm wondering what it is that he can do. But, I mean, shit. What's happened over the last couple of weeks? And, of course, with the exclamation point being the train of toxic chemicals, 150-car Freightliner that crashed off the tracks in East Palestine. It's one of over 12 rail incidents reported to have already taken place since the start of 2023. Is the Secretary of Transportation supposed to stop that? you've also got some issues going on with airport near misses as well. It doesn't seem like the Secretary of Transportation is doing a very good job. I guess I'll just leave it at that. Like, I don't know what they're supposed to do differently to make things better, but I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned. And I gotta say, there's not enough skepticism directed towards the government when it comes to the screening, or not the screening, the coverage of this. If you haven't seen the pictures coming out of East Palestine, I mean, they lit these tankers on fire, and it's created like a toxic mushroom plume of shit, and it's just in the air, and it's getting into the water, and people have headaches, and livestock and animals and stuff. And like, it's gonna be in the air for a while. You can't just remove the air. I suppose that the wind could blow it elsewhere, which is a little bit concerning, but say somebody that's an official spokesperson that's taking charge of the disaster, that's in a governmental role, tells you, yeah, everything's okay. Are you going to believe them? How could you believe them? Why would you believe them? And I have seen a couple of reports on national TV about what took place in East Palestine, and the reporters that are there are listening to the people in charge who obviously don't want people to panic. And it feels like those reporters are trusting what they're being told. How the fuck could you? And I suppose the images alone that are being shown on television should be enough to make a lot of people be like, whoa, we really fucked up here. Maybe we need to be a little bit more careful with the transportation of hazardous materials by train, which is apparently the safest way to do it. But man, this is a moment in time where, once again, I ask about trust. I don't know how anyone could trust anything coming out of East Palestine, Texas right now. I mean, this is a fucking disaster. And even more frustrating. So Pete Buttigieg, I keep on butchering the name, didn't talk about it and hasn't been to East Palestine, Texas. East Palestine, Ohio. Wait a second, what? You haven't even gone out to the site to check it out? I don't know. Might be a good idea. Anyway, that's just me. I might have to work on the actual words that I use to launch this live stream. There are not a lot of people in here today. Oh, well. These are just questions I have, thoughts that I have. That's going to wrap up today's edition of the show. I'll be honest. Don't have that much to talk about today. Didn't think there would be more of you. Alas, it says 0. It's been 0 for 15 minutes on my stream chat. So appreciate anyone who maybe stumbles on this after the fact. But until next time, Monday, 1 o'clock, I am merely Paul Gallant. So long, farewell. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Peace!